I want to talk really briefly today about one of my pet peeves, and I guess I'm adding to the list every month here. But one of my pet peeves is I really want people to stop leaving employment issues to the very last minute when they're buying or selling a business. Because as we talked about in season 7, episode 8 of Fire Away with Peter Cusimano, it's a critical issue. And I'll share a quick story. Many years ago now, probably about 10 years ago, I got a call from a law school friend, and this friend had gone on to practice corporate law in the States, and we kept in touch over the years, mostly talking about hockey. But he reached out to me, said he was helping with a client that was buying a business in Ontario. He told them they should talk to an employment lawyer, recommended me, wanted to see if I was available. I said, great. I was really excited. And then I asked him when the deal was closing. And he very, very sheepishly said, tomorrow. Now, that point, I realized that we had missed the window. And as Peter and I talked about again in season 7, episode 8 of Fire Away, you always want to be proactive and you want to prevent the problem rather than trying to fix it later. At this point, the deal was done. It hadn't closed yet, but the deal was done. But even at that point, we were able to take some time. We were able to very quickly assess the HR situation, look at the contract, look at the employees, and we found a few ways to help our client. And then once the deal closed, we helped them put some contracts in place and mitigate their risks going forward. So it wasn't a complete loss, but it was a great example. If this was someone, and I should, in my friend's defense, he was new to the file. Apparently, the buyer had another lawyer. For whatever reason, the other lawyer disappeared on them. So my friend inherited this at the very last minute. So I won't blame him for this, but this is not unusual, where people are focused on whether they're buying or selling a business. They're focused on the purchase price. They're focused on the timing. They're focused on some other key issues, but they're not even thinking about the employees and what happens if they stay. What happens if they don't stay? What if I don't want them to stay? What if I buy the business and I decide I don't like them? What if I buy the business and, even though I was assuming that these core employees would run the business, they leave? All these things can and should be addressed while you're negotiating the deal. And as I often say, from a buyer perspective, you should negotiate with the seller. You should also negotiate with the staff and put contracts in place. There's a whole lot of things that can be done if it's done properly. The bottom line is that if you're buying or selling a business, you should never forget the fact that you're buying, or you're either becoming an employer or you're ceasing to be an employer. And either of those have significant legal implications and can have significant legal costs. So, and in many cases, you won't find out about that until it's too late. So I encourage everyone to watch season 7, episode 8 of Fire Away and my discussion with Peter Cusimano. We gave some great examples of what you should do, what will happen if you don't do things properly, including the costs, and make sure that when you're engaging in either, again, by buying or selling a business, make sure you've got a team. You should have a corporate lawyer. You should have an employment lawyer, their accountant, and anybody else that can give you the advice that you need so you don't miss anything. Bottom line, I'll say it now because I always like to say this. If you think you might need an employment lawyer, you probably do.